Chapter 1914. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. As time passed, the sacred academy of Origin Mountain became even more chaotic. There were battles and killings every day. Every day, there were geniuses who died. However, no one bothered Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others had many geniuses. When they gathered together, they were very terrifying. Naturally, no one would pay attention to them for the time being. As time passed, many people began to gather and form groups to fight against the powerful enemies. Even so, there were still powerful geniuses who directly attacked a certain group and killed all of them. The atmosphere in the sacred academy of Origin Mountain was extremely oppressive. Under such circumstances, some geniuses left the sacred academy of Origin Mountain. However, those who left were only a minority. The various cultivation places in the sacred academy of Origin Mountain were too attractive. Moreover, there was a great emperor's preaching. Where could one find such cultivation conditions? Although it was dangerous in the sacred academy of Origin Mountain, one's progress was also the fastest. Leaving the sacred academy of Origin Mountain, one's cultivation speed would definitely not be able to keep up with the cultivation in the sacred academy of Origin Mountain. Everyone was a genius. Once the gap was widened, it would be difficult to catch up. The path of cultivation was like walking against the current. If one did not advance, one would fall behind. Once one fell behind, one would not be able to catch up with the other geniuses in the future. Even one's own achievements would be affected. In the sacred academy of Origin Mountain, one might be able to continuously unearth one's potential and make breakthroughs. Their future achievements were unpredictable. However, it was not certain if they left. Thus, only a small number of people left. Many more people stayed behind. Huang Kong, a genius from the Phoenix Palace, once competed with Huang Ling for the Heart of Parasol Tree, but they later reconciled. On this day, he met up with a few geniuses from the Divine Elephant Sect and Phoenix Palace. They arrived at the Divine Abilities Purgatory Valley, intending to cultivate their divine abilities there. However, they were stopped outside the valley. Stop, the Divine Ability Purgatory Valley has been reserved by the Sky Knife Alliance. No one else is allowed to enter. Outside the Divine Ability Purgatory Valley, a few young men stopped Huang Kong and the others. The Sky Knife Alliance? Reserved by you? Huang Kong and the others were stunned. That's right. Now, get lost. A young man on the other side was extremely arrogant. How dare you? The Divine Ability Purgatory Valley was created by the great emperor of the Sacred Academy. Everyone who entered the Sacred Academy's Divine Ability Purgatory Valley. A genius from the Divine Elephant Sect was furious. That's right, you should be the ones to scram. A Phoenix Palace disciple berated. Since they don't want to leave, I'll just kill them. A cold voice came from the Purgatory Valley. A young man in a long golden robe stepped out with a few other young men with a cold expression. Huang Kong and the others had ugly expressions on their faces. If you want to fight, we have nothing to fear. Let's go. Huang Kong said, wishing to withdraw first and report this matter to Lu Ming and the others. Did I say you could leave? Attack! Kill them all. The young man in the golden robe was extremely overbearing. A golden battle saber appeared in his hand and he slashed at Huang Kong and the others. This person's cultivation was very strong. He was at the pinnacle of the Great Saint Realm. As for Huang Kong and the others, the one with the highest cultivation was Huang Kong, who was only a great sage, great mastery. Not good, retreat! Huang Kong shouted. He did not expect the other party to be so domineering, attacking them directly and wanting to kill them. However, the other party had more people. Their figures flashed and surrounded them. Poochie! The young man in the golden robe slashed down with his battle saber and killed a Phoenix Palace disciple. Huang Kong's eyes were bloodshot. He shouted, "You killed my Phoenix Palace disciple. Lu Ming and the others will not let you off." What? A Phoenix Palace disciple? The young man in the golden robe and the others were shocked. He did not expect the other party to be a Phoenix Palace disciple. Phoenix Palace represented Lu Ming and the group of elites on Lu Ming's side. The young man in the golden robe broke out in cold sweat when he thought of the combat strength of Lu Ming and the others. However, they had already killed one of their opponents. It was impossible for them to ease the tension. Kill! Kill them all! Don't let any of them escape! The young man in the golden robe roared. Since they could not ease the tension, they would kill all of them. That way, no one would know that they were the culprits. Terrifying attacks continued to attack Huang Kong and the others. Huang Kong and the others were outnumbered and their cultivation was weaker than the other party. They could not withstand the attacks at all and were killed one by one. Soon, Huang Kong was the only one left. Kill! Kill! The young man in the golden robe continued to attack Huang Kong with his saber. Soon, a long saber wound appeared on Huang Kong's body and his body was almost split into two. If he did not have the Phoenix combat body and the Phoenix's ability to rise from the ashes, he would not have been able to fight anymore. A Phoenix cry was heard and a pair of Phoenix wings appeared on Huang Kong's back. He spat out a mouthful of blood and when the blood landed on the Phoenix wings, the flames on the Phoenix wings burned brightly. Swoosh! Huang Kong risked his injuries and charged out of the encirclement. He flew toward the place where Lu Ming and the others were gathered. Oh no! Chase after him! The young man in the golden robe and the others' faces changed and they chased after Huang Kong. However, Huang Kong had used a secret skill and his speed was shocking. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. The young man in the golden robe looked terrible. If Lu Ming and the others knew that Huang Kong had escaped, what would happen? Fear flashed in his eyes and he said, "Report to the alliance leader that Lu Ming and the others are here to fight for the superpower Purgatory Valley." At the mountain where Lu Ming and the others were staying, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, and the others were discussing something. Suddenly, someone rushed in to report. Oh no! Someone has been killed. The person who made the report was a genius from the Phoenix Palace and he looked furious. What? Lu Ming and the others' faces changed. In a flash, they appeared outside the courtyard and saw Huang Kong sitting cross-legged on the ground. His body was covered in phoenix flames and his body was covered in blood. Huang Ling's face darkened. She waved her hand and the undying flame shrouded Huang Kong. With the help of the undying flame, Huang Kong's injuries healed quickly. After a while, he was fully recovered. Huang Kong, what happened? Huang Ling asked. Our men have been killed. Huang Kong immediately told her what had happened. The Sky Knife Alliance is courting death. Huang Ling's body emitted a cold killing intent. It seems like someone has started to fight for the cultivation ground. Gather the men and let's go. Lu Ming shouted. Soon, Lu Ming, Chiu Moon, Huang Ling, Luo Tianyi, Long Chen, Huang Li, and the others headed toward the superpower Purgatory Valley. They had to avenge the deaths of their men. When Lu Ming and the others arrived at the superpower Purgatory Valley, more than 100 people had gathered outside the valley. It's them. They killed our men without any explanation. Huang Kong pointed at the young man in the golden robe in the crowd. Come out and die. Chapter 1915. Lu Ming, what's the matter that made you so angry? A burly young man stepped out. He was holding a saber and his eyes were as sharp as a blade. Wei Tiandao. Huang Ling whispered. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. He had heard of Wei Tiandao before. He was ranked 4th on the King's Sage Board and had a terrifying imperial constitution. His cultivation was unfathomable and he was even more powerful than Luo Zhangqiong. It seemed that Wei Tiandao was the one who had set up the Sky Saber Alliance. Your people killed our people for no reason. A life for a life. They must die. Lu Ming said coldly. They attacked us first and we were forced to fight back. The young man in the golden robe shouted. Nonsense, we came to Purgatory Valley to cultivate. You stopped us and said that Purgatory Valley was already occupied by you. Moreover, you attacked us and killed our people without any explanation. If I didn't risk my life to break out, I would have died too. Huang Kong shouted angrily. You are slandering us. The young man in the golden robe said. Lu Ming, it seems that there is a misunderstanding. How about this? I will give you half of the rights to use the Purgatory Valley and we will let this matter rest. How about that? Wei Tiandao said. You want to let this matter rest so easily after killing our men? Is there something wrong with your brain? Lu Ming scolded him and a cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. Wei Tiandao's face darkened. He was ranked 4th on the King's Sage board and Lu Ming did not give him any face. This made him want to kill him. However, when he looked at Luo Qianni, Qiu Autumn Moon, Huang Ling and the others, he suppressed the killing intent in his heart. Lu Ming, what do you want? Wei Tiandao asked. It's simple. Those who attacked us will pay with their lives. Also, the Purgatory Valley will belong to us. Lu Ming said coldly. The young man in the golden robe was shocked and shouted, Alliance leader, don't agree. We are doing this for the Alliance. Wei Tiandao's face darkened and he said, Lu Ming, your conditions are too much. Too much? Don't you have to pay the price for killing our people? Lu Ming sneered. Lu Ming, I suggest that we turn this matter into a small one. Once the two sides start fighting, it won't benefit anyone. This time, you don't have the help of the Death Blade. Wei Tiandao spoke, vaguely revealing a trace of threat. In other words, without the help of the Death Blade, if you fight with me, you won't be able to gain anything. Both sides will only suffer. Hee, you really know how to flatter yourself. Against you, I don't need the help of the Death Blade. If you want to fight, then let's fight. After saying that, Lu Ming took a step forward. A berserk aura burst out and pressed down on Wei Tiandao. At the same time, Luo Qianni, Autumn Moon, and the others released their auras as well. Whoosh! A shocking saber light erupted from Wei Tiandao's body, piercing through the sky. It was incomparably terrifying. Perfection of the absolute Saint Realm. Wei Tiandao's cultivation had also reached the complete Saint Realm. No wonder he was ranked 4th on the King's Saint list. The people behind Wei Tiandao also released their auras. 2 of them were also very terrifying. They also had king bodies. The terrifying auras of the two sides clashed in the air. Die! Lu Ming suddenly shouted and pointed out. A chaotic calamity finger formed and attacked Wei Tiandao. Wei Tiandao unsheathed his saber. Just as he was about to attack, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared around him and enveloped him. His body suddenly stiffened. Break! Wei Tiandao roared. Dazzling saber light burst out, trying to break the bubble's spacetime rules. But he wasn't Xing Xinghe. Xing Xinghe had the eternal body and the eternal divine light. Together with the eternal rules, he could easily break the bubble's spacetime rules. He was only a king body. Although his cultivation was similar to Xing Xinghe's, his combat power was far inferior. He couldn't break the spacetime rules in such a short time. Heavenly Illusion. Luo Qianni shouted and used the Heavenly Illusion rules. Wei Tiandao immediately fell into an illusion. Break! 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 Wei Tiandao roared. Saber light burst out of his body, trying to break the illusion and spacetime rules. At that moment, Lu Ming's attack arrived. Boom! The chaotic calamity finger hit Wei Tiandao. Although Wei Tiandao used his saber light to block it, his body still shook violently and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, as soon as he retreated, another transparent bubble enveloped him. Then, Luo Qianni's illusion shook his soul again. Although Luo Qianni's cultivation was at the great accomplishment of the absolute saint realm, her soul was very powerful. It was far beyond her cultivation level. Together with the heavenly illusion rules, it had a great impact on Wei Tiandao. Wei Tiandao had a lot of strength, but he couldn't use it at the moment. Whoosh! Lu Ming stepped forward. The Great Evolution Cauldron appeared in his hand. It rapidly enlarged and smashed toward Wei Tiandao. Bam! Wei Tiandao was smashed. His body hit the ground heavily and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The other members of the Sky Knife Alliance were shocked. The golden-robed young man and the others who had attacked earlier were pale. Wait, stop! Wei Tiandao roared. What do you want to say? Lu Ming stood in the air and looked at Wei Tiandao coldly. Wei Tiandao's eyes flashed with horror. It wasn't until now that he truly understood how terrifying Lu Ming and the others were when they joined forces. Back then, Lu Ming and the others were suppressed by Eternal Galaxy when they joined forces. It wasn't that Lu Ming and the others weren't strong, but that Eternal Galaxy was too strong. It wasn't until they fought that Wei Tiandao realized how terrifying Lu Ming and the others were. With the few of them working together, he couldn't use his strength at all. He could only take a beating. Moreover, there were other people with king bodies who hadn't attacked yet. If they really fought, they would definitely lose. Lu Ming, I agree to your conditions. Wei Tiandao said helplessly. He felt humiliated, but there was nothing he could do in this situation. No, Alliance leader, you have to save us. You have to save us. The golden-robed young man screamed in horror. If Wei Tiandao didn't save them, they would die. You have to bear the consequences of your own actions. Let's go. Wei Tiandao roared and turned to leave. The other members of the Sky Knife Alliance looked at the golden-robed young man and the others pitifully. Of all the people they could offend, they had to offend Lu Ming and the others. Following that, the other members of the Sky Knife Alliance soared into the air and left as well. No! The golden-robed young man and the others frantically chased after the Sky Knife Alliance members. However, Long Chen's figure suddenly appeared before them. His eyes were cold as he threw a punch. Bang! The golden-robed young man screamed miserably as his body shattered into pieces. The remaining people had even lower cultivations. Long Chen killed all of them in a few moves. The people who attacked earlier were all killed. Chapter 1916. After that, the sacred courtyard of Yuanshan became even more chaotic. Various large groups fought and killed each other in order to compete for those cultivation places. In the sacred courtyard of Yuanshan, the cultivation place was the most important cultivation resource. It was extremely helpful for cultivation. Naturally, the competition was very fierce. And all of this, the teachers of the sacred courtyard of Yuanshan did not interfere. Since that day, the teachers of the sacred courtyard of Yuanshan seemed to have disappeared. Only a few people were left to maintain the operation of those cultivation places. After that, some small groups began to form alliances and gathered into large groups. One by one, alliances began to appear. And the leaders of those alliances were all powerhouses on the King's Sage board. The sacred courtyard of Yuanshan did not prohibit killing. 2 months later, dozens of small and large alliances appeared in the sacred courtyard of Yuanshan. In the mountain where Lu Ming and the others lived, everyone gathered again. Lu Ming, should we establish an alliance? Huang Ling was the first to suggest. I also think it's good to establish an alliance. Once we establish an alliance, others will come to join us and increase our strength. Ouyang Wushuang also suggested. Yes, if we establish an alliance, people will come to join us. If we get to know more people now, it will be of great use in the future. Luo Tianyi also said. Then, the others also spoke one after another, feeling that it was time to establish an alliance. However, everyone was waiting for Lu Ming's opinion. During this period, almost everyone had followed Lu Ming's lead. At this moment, a message came. Heng Xinghe had successfully obtained a set of array discs in the holy battlefield, covering 100 miles of his residence. At the same time, he had established the Celestial Emperor Alliance. Many people from the small alliances had joined him. Heng Xinghe obtained a set of array discs. Many people's expressions changed. During this period, we sent people to inquire about the holy battlefield's array discs. How is it? Lu Ming asked. During this period, they had also been inquiring about the array discs. At this time, a set of array discs was too useful. A set of array discs could cover 100 miles, and only martial emperors could break it. This was equivalent to having a base, and they were not afraid of being attacked. This was too important for an alliance. This meant that their safety was guaranteed. Usually, they could cultivate in the cultivation place, but it was impossible to stay in the cultivation place all the time. After cultivating for a period of time, they still had to leave the cultivation place and find a place to digest it. Living in the area covered by the array discs, there was no need to worry about their own safety. However, there were only 4 sets of array discs. Once someone obtained one set, many people would join them. Emperor Wu of Yuanshan, the Celestial Emperor Alliance, had left 4 sets of array discs in the holy battlefield of the holy battlefield. However, the holy battlefield was huge. During this time, many people were looking for formation discs. Unexpectedly, Xinghe was one step ahead of them and got a formation disc. During this period of time, we have some people Wushuang. Ouyang Wushuang said. Alright, then we'll wait until we get the disc array, then we'll establish the alliance. Everyone nodded as well. Obtaining the disc array and establishing the alliance would be the best. Hung to Celestial. Hung Xinghe was the first on the King's Sage board. Now that they were the first to obtain an array disc, many people joined them. It was said that Luo Zhangqiong, Luo Pokong, and Feng Wuchen from the Feng clan had joined Hung Xinghe. For a time, the Heavenly Emperor Alliance became a Leviathan existence. However, Hung Xinghe did not find trouble with Lu Ming because he did not know what Death Blade's intentions were. Lu Ming found Luo Xiang alone. He planned to use the Great Pill Development Cauldron to refine Luo Xiang's spiritual body. With Luo Xiang's potential, he would definitely be able to refine his spiritual body to a superior sky spiritual body. When Luo Xiang found out about the effects of the Great Pill Development Cauldron, he was shocked. Then, Luo Xiang entered the Great Pill Development Cauldron. Half a month after Hung Xinghe obtained the array disc, the second array disc appeared. It was obtained by the Divine Fire Alliance, led by the second on the King's Sage board. The second on the King's Sage board was called the Fire Emperor. He was the pride of an ancient clan, the Fire Tribe. After he obtained the array disc, many people joined him. Suddenly, the Divine Fire Alliance became a force second only to the Celestial Emperor Alliance. After half a month of refining, Luo Xiang's spiritual body also evolved to a superior sky spiritual body. When Luo Xiang's spiritual body evolved, it actually led to his cultivation reaching the absolute saint realm. Luo Xiang's cultivation had already reached the limit of the supreme saint realm. It was normal for him to break through by coincidence. Luo Xiang had a king body and could control one of the King Dao's laws, the speed law. When he became an absolute saint, Lu Ming and the others became stronger. At this moment, there was good news. They finally found the location of the array disc. Lu Ming immediately gathered everyone and headed to the Absolute Saint battlefield. The Absolute Saint battlefield was actually a huge array world. It had been built by the Emperor himself. Back when the Origin Mountain Sacred Academy was first opened, only Paragon Saints were allowed to enter and cultivate there. But now, the Absolute Saint battlefield had been adjusted. Even Bright Saints could enter. The entrance to the Absolute Saint battlefield was guarded by the Saint Court's elders. Entering required a large number of origin stones. Lu Ming and the others, a few dozen people, paid the origin stones and entered a spacious secret room. This secret chamber could be considered to have been reserved by them. Outsiders were not allowed to enter. Entering the Absolute Saint battlefield required one's mind to enter. Their physical body would remain outside. This was to prevent them from being ambushed after entering the Absolute Saint battlefield. Everyone sat down cross-legged. Inscriptions appeared in the secret room and covered their bodies. The next moment, they discovered that their minds had entered a mysterious space. Then, they discovered that they had appeared on a grassland. It's so real. The cultivation is exactly the same as the outside world. Even the laws are the same. Lu Ming sensed that everything was the same as the outside world. There really was no difference. This shocked Lu Ming. This array world was indeed extraordinary. Previously, when he was helping Ouyang Wushuang in the Xinyuan Empire, the first trial was also to enter a world of formations. However, the cultivators who entered the formation would only be able to form the body of a first-layer martial dominator. Their cultivation and the power of laws would not be able to be used inside the formation. But here, they could use it as they wished. It was on a completely different level. The others who hadn't entered the saintly battlefield also secretly felt it, exclaiming endlessly. It was indeed extraordinary that the emperor had built it himself. There are many beasts formed by formations in the absolute saint battlefield. After asking around, one of the array discs might be on Violent Ape Mountain. Ouyang Wushuang said. Chapter 1917. Violent Ape Mountain. How strong are they? Lu Ming asked. Violent Ape Mountain is inhabited by a type of ancient violent ape. They are naturally warlike, possess boundless strength, and have formidable battle prowess. The strongest violent ape in the Violent Ape Mountain is at the Quasi-Emperor realm. There are many violent apes at the Saint realm. Some time ago, several alliances wanted to explore the Violent Ape Mountain, but they were all killed by the violent apes. Ouyang Wushuang explained. A Quasi-Emperor violent ape? Many people narrowed their eyes. With the protection of a Quasi-Emperor violent ape, it was not easy to get the array disc. But fortunately, this was the Saint battlefield, a world of arrays. Even if they died in this world, their real body would be fine. Ouyang, lead the way. Lu Ming said to Ouyang Wushuang. Ouyang Wushuang nodded and led the way. Everyone followed. The Saint battlefield was vast and endless. After flying for a few hours, a towering mountain appeared in front of them. Roar! Roar! Even though they were very far away, they could still hear the roars and howls that were filled with brutality. They had arrived at the Violent Ape Mountain. Wait a minute. Those with weak cultivation, stay outside and attract the attention of some violent apes. Those with strong cultivation, follow me and kill our way to the top of the mountain. Lu Ming arranged everyone's task. Dying on the holy battlefield wouldn't be a true death. Therefore, using some weaker people to attract some of the violent apes was the best way to make the best use of people. No one had any objections. Everyone approached the Violent Ape Mountain. Someone is coming. Lu Ming's face suddenly changed and looked in another direction. There was a group of people flying over from that direction. The group flying at the front were all young men and women in white robes. They were extremely handsome. Xian Yanjuan. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes, a little surprised. He did not expect to see Xian Yanjuan here. They are from the ancient sacred tribe. Luo Tianyi said softly. The ancient sacred tribe was also a powerful ancient tribe. Those handsome men and women in white robes were from the ancient sacred tribe. The people behind the ancient saint clan should be the prodigies who had allied with the ancient saint clan. It was obvious that the people of the ancient saint clan also wanted to step onto the Violent Ape Mountain to seize the array disc. Lu Ming. Xian Yanjuan looked at Lu Ming in surprise. It's Lu Ming and the others. The gazes of the other ancient sacred tribes and the geniuses outside the ancient sacred tribes turned solemn. The battle prowess of Lu Ming's group left a deep impression on them. Now that they had encountered Lu Ming's group, it would be difficult for them to seize the disc array. Hee, Lu Ming, I didn't expect that we would meet in the Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard. What a coincidence! Xian Yanjuan said with a smile. What a coincidence! Lu Ming replied indifferently. Although Xian Yanqing had helped him once in the Tsang state, revealing the Divine Sun's cultivation level and secrets before the battle with him. However, Lu Ming's impression of Xian Yanjuan was still very bad. Back in the Divine Wilderness continent, the two of them were mortal enemies. Many people looked at Lu Ming in surprise before looking at Xian Yinjuan. Lu Ming and Xian Yinjuan knew each other. I'm really impressed. How does Lu Ming know so many beauties? Logically speaking, I'm also quite handsome. Why don't I know so many beauties? Huang Li touched his head and muttered. Qiu Yu, Huang Ling, Luo Tianyi and the other girls had strange looks on their faces. As for the other big guys from the desolate race, they looked at Lu Ming with admiration. Xian Yinjuan smiled slightly, as if he did not mind Lu Ming's attitude. He said, Lu Ming, are you also here to snatch the disc array? We are naturally here to snatch the disc array. Lu Ming said. What a coincidence. We are also here to snatch the disc array. On account of me helping you once, how about you give the disc array to me? Xian Yinjuan said with a smile. Give it to you. On Violent Ape Mountain, there are quasi-thearch violent apes. Even if I give it to you, you probably won't be able to take it down. It's better if we rely on our own abilities. Lu Ming smiled slightly. Following that, he did not waste any more words with Xian Yinjuan. They flew to the other side of Violent Ape Mountain. If the ancient sacred race wanted to snatch the disc array, then let them. Both sides attacked from different directions of Violent Ape Mountain. Whoever obtained it would be the one with the ability. When they arrived at the other side of Violent Ape Mountain, they followed the original plan. Some of the weaker ones rushed towards Violent Ape Mountain. Soon, there were bursts of angry roars from Violent Ape Mountain. A group of violent apes chased after those people and disappeared into the distance. Bubbles. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming transmitted a message to Bubbles. Chirp chirp, Bubbles waved her small hands and a space-time tunnel was formed, extending to the top of the mountain. Everyone rushed into the space-time tunnel. Roar! At this moment, a terrifying roar sounded from the top of the mountain. A giant violent ape appeared. It was 100 meters tall and held a giant rod in its hand. It swept the rod towards the space-time tunnel. Rumble! As the giant rod swept across, heaven and earth roared and the space-time tunnel collapsed. Lu Ming and the others had just stepped into the space-time tunnel. Before they could cross half the distance, they were forcefully thrown out of the space-time tunnel. It's really not working. The strength of a quasi-thearch is really amazing. Lu Ming thought to himself. A quasi-thearch was indeed powerful. The moment Bubbles opened the space-time tunnel, she was discovered and destroyed in one fell swoop. This ruined his plan of using the space-time tunnel to reach the top of the mountain. Roar! The quasi-thearch giant ape stood at the top of the mountain and roared towards the sky. Roar! Roar! The entire Violent Ape Mountain was in a riot. Loud roars sounded and violent apes appeared one after another. Some were barehanded, some were holding iron rods, and some were grabbing huge rocks. They rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. At a distance, there were huge rocks the size of houses that smashed towards Lu Ming and the others. Charge! Lu Ming shouted. Everyone dashed toward the mountain peak at lightning speed. In the process of charging, Bubbles gently pressed her small hand. The space in front of her fluctuated and those huge rocks were crushed by the power of space. Then, those violent apes rushed over. Bubbles pouted and spat out a bunch of bubbles that enveloped those giant apes. Lu Ming and the others attacked and killed those giant apes. As soon as those giant apes died, they turned into energy and disappeared. Following Lu Ming were Autumn Moon, Huang Ling, Luo Tianyi, Long Chen, Huang Li, Ouyang Wushuang, Luo Xiang, Lu Ming, and Bubbles. There were 9 of them in total. They were all absolute saints with king bodies and above. When they worked together, their speed was amazing. Regardless of whether they were absolute saints at the initial completion or absolute saint peak, they were almost instantly killed by the group. They were like a sharp knife that rushed to the top of the mountain. On the other side of the mountain, there were also rumbles. Obviously, the ancient saint tribe had also started to attack the mountain. The ancient saint tribe has come at the right time. They can help us attract a group of violent apes. Ouyang Wushuang smiled. The others smiled as well. Indeed, the violent apes on the other side were attracted by the ancient saint tribe's attack. The pressure on them was much lower. Chapter 1918. Roar. At the peak of the mountain, the quasi-emperor violent ape roared at the sky. Its eyes were red as blood. It stomped heavily, causing the mountain rocks to explode and the entire mountain to shake violently. The violent ape's huge body charged toward Lu Ming and the others like a cannonball. The giant stick in its hand smashed toward Lu Ming and the others with unstoppable force. Chaotic Calamity Finger. Lu Ming pointed his finger and formed the Chaotic Calamity Finger. It blasted toward the violent ape and collided with the violent ape's giant stick. Boom! In the next moment, the Chaotic Calamity Finger was shattered, but the violent ape was also blocked. When Lu Ming was in the Great Saint Realm, he could cross realms and kill an expert in the Great Saint Realm. Although a quasi-emperor was much stronger than an expert in the Great Saint Realm, after breaking through to the Saint Realm, his combat strength had also increased greatly. He was now able to contend with an expert in the quasi-emperor realm. Chirp chirp, Bubbles stood on Lu Ming's shoulder. She opened her mouth and a transparent bubble formed, enveloping the violent ape. Roar! The violent ape roared and unleashed all of its strength to break the transparent bubble. However, Bubbles' strength was enough to contend with a quasi-emperor realm. How could the violent ape break it so easily? Roar! Roar! Roars could be heard from the surroundings as the gigantic berserk apes charged toward them one after another. You guys block those violent apes. Leave this to Bubbles and me. Lu Ming shouted. Autumn Moon, Luo Tianyi, and the others flashed and rushed toward the surrounding violent apes to block them. Lu Ming took the opportunity to attack the quasi-emperor violent ape. He pointed his finger again and a giant finger crushed toward the violent ape. Lu Ming wanted to take out the Great Elixir Development Furnace to refine the giant ape, but with a thought, he realized that there was no Great Elixir Development Furnace in his sea of consciousness. With a thought, Lu Ming understood. Although this array world was mysterious and unusual, it was not omnipotent. For example, it could not condense treasures that were above the level of emperor weapons. Imperial armaments were forged by martial emperors using all sorts of precious materials. If the formation world could create one, it would be too terrifying. The primal chaos tribulation finger crushed down. The violent ape roared and struggled with all its might, erupting with power to resist. However, it was suppressed by the law of space and time. The power it could unleash was less than half of its usual power. It was sent flying by the chaotic tribulation finger and crashed into the mountain peak. The mountain peak trembled, gravel flew everywhere, and dust filled the air. Space Slicer. Time stop. Bubble flew out and circulated the space-time law with all its might. Space turned into a terrifying cutting power that slashed towards Bao Yuan. At the same time, it used the space-time stop power to restrict Bao Yuan's movements. Lu Ming stepped forward and unleashed a primal chaos tribulation finger with all his might. When the two of them worked together, the law of primal chaos and the law of space-time worked together. Their battle prowess was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Instead, it increased exponentially. The ferocious ape did not even have the strength to resist as the two attacks landed on its body. With a loud roar, its body directly exploded. After the violent ape's body exploded, it emitted a resplendent light. Within the light, 9 array discs actually appeared. So the array discs were inside the violent ape. Lu Ming was overjoyed. With a wave of his hand, he put away the 9 array discs. We've got the array discs. Let's go. Lu Ming yelled and used the hell-suppressing art. 9 phantoms of the hell-suppressing steel appeared and sent the 9 powerful violent apes flying. Qiu Yu and the others took the opportunity to retreat and join up with Lu Ming and the others to break out of the encirclement. Behind them, the other violent apes roared and chased after Lu Ming's group. However, they were not good at speed and were quickly shaken off by Lu Ming's group. On Violent Ape Mountain, Xian Yinjuan looked into the distance and said, looks like the array discs have been taken by Lu Ming's group. Let's retreat. Then, the ancient saints broke out of the encirclement and left. Not long after, Lu Ming's group left the holy battlefield and returned to their mountain peak. Lu Ming stood above the mountain peak. With a wave of his hand, 9 array discs appeared and emitted a bright light. One of the array discs floated above the mountain peak while the other 8 flew in all directions, forming a light screen that covered an area of 100 miles. Below, the prodigies of the Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, Thunder God Sect, and other forces burst into cheers. With the array discs protecting them, they could cultivate in the Origin Mountain's sacred court without worry. Usually, when they went to those cultivation grounds, they could go there in groups. After they finished cultivating, they would return here and not have to worry about being ambushed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Ouyang Wushuang, Long Chen, and the others flew to Lu Ming's side. Lu Ming, now that we have the array discs, it's time to form an alliance. Ouyang Wushuang said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. I'll make Lu Ming the leader. You guys won't have any objections, right? Huang Li was the first to speak. Then, he looked at Ouyang Wushuang and the others. Of course I have no objections. Huang Ling said with a smile. I have no objections either. Me neither. Then, Long Chen, Autumn Moon, and Luo Xiang spoke. They naturally supported Lu Ming as the leader. Finally, everyone looked at Ouyang Wushuang and Luo Tianyi. Of course I support Lu Ming. Me too. Luo Tianyi and Ouyang Wushuang nodded. They were silver inheritors and had to listen to Lu Ming's orders. Why would they fight with Lu Ming for the leader position? Okay, then our alliance will be called the Dragon Alliance. Inform the Sacred Court that the Dragon Alliance will be officially established in 3 days. We welcome everyone to join us. Lu Ming said and made the decision. His eyes shone with anticipation. He had an idea to bring the Dragon Alliance to greater heights in the Yuanlu and become an overlord force. Then, everything would start from now on. The Origin Mountain Sacred Court was filled with the best prodigies from all over the world. If they were recruited into the Dragon Alliance now, it would definitely play a very important role in the future development of the Dragon Alliance. Yes, Alliance Leader. Ouyang Wushuang immediately cupped his fists. Greetings, Alliance Leader. Then, Luo Tianyi, Huang Li, Long Chen, and the others cupped their fists one after another. Then, the prodigies of the Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant Sect bowed to Lu Ming one after another. Then, everyone busied themselves with spreading the news and preparing for the banquet in 3 days. When the news spread, the Origin Mountain Sacred Court was shaken. The 3rd array disc fell into the hands of Lu Ming and the others. It was indeed shocking. The strength of Lu Ming and the others was obvious to all. They were definitely the strongest force in the valley. Some small groups that did not join the Celestial Supreme Alliance and the Divine Fire Alliance began to consider whether to join Lu Ming and the others. It's better to join the Celestial Supreme Alliance than the Dragon Alliance. Lu Ming offended the Hengxing River and will be killed by them sooner or later. That's right, and the people of the Heng family are guarding outside the Sacred Court. Lu Ming can't even get out of the Sacred Court. If he joins the Dragon Alliance, I'm afraid he will be implicated by Lu Ming. Maybe he will also be targeted by the Heng family. That would be terrible. This was the opinion of some small groups. They thought that Lu Ming and the others would be defeated by the Hengxing River sooner or later. If they joined the Dragon Alliance, they would probably be implicated. However, there were also some small groups that had the opposite opinion. They thought that Lu Ming and the others had endless potential. Although their cultivation was still low now, they would be very terrifying when they grew up in the future. Not to mention other things, Lu Ming's side even had 2 Elysian children. If their cultivation improved, would they be afraid of the Hengxing River? Therefore, some of them chose to join the Dragon Alliance. P.S. In addition to the previous accumulation and the desperately staying up late last night to write, I finally finished 30 chapters and fulfilled my promise to my brothers and sisters. Chapter 1919. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The day of the Dragon Alliance's establishment had arrived. On this day, there were dozens of banquet tables set up on the mountain peak where they lived. Early in the morning, there were people who came to visit Lu Ming and were willing to join the Dragon Alliance. At noon, the number of people gradually increased. However, it was still a far cry from the day when the Heavenly Supreme Alliance was established. Obviously, there weren't many who thought highly of Lu Ming and the others. However, what made Lu Ming and the others happy was that two small groups had joined them. The leaders of these two groups were all prodigies with king bodies. Then, the prodigies of the Ancient Sun Sacred Ground and Purple Flame Villa all joined the Dragon Alliance. Some of the prodigies of the Purple Flame Villa had made a bet that they would serve Lu Ming for 50 years. Now that the Dragon Alliance was established, they naturally joined it. After the Purple Flame Villa people arrived, another group of people came and attracted everyone's attention. "It's the Ancient Sacred Tribe," someone exclaimed. The Ancient Sacred Tribe was also an alliance. There were more than 100 of them. At this moment, all of them had arrived. However, they were blocked outside the light screen formed by the array disk. If Lu Ming didn't want them to enter, they couldn't enter. "Lu Ming, what's wrong? You won't let us in?" Xian Yanqing smiled as she walked at the front of the group. "Are you here to congratulate me?" Lu Ming's voice sounded. "No." Xian Yanjuan shook her head as a meaningful smile appeared at the corner of her lips. She said, "We are here to join the Dragon Alliance." What? Many people were shocked. The Ancient Sacred Tribe was here to join the Dragon Alliance? Some people were overjoyed. The Ancient Sacred Tribe's strength was very shocking. In addition, there were a few people with king bodies who had allied with the Ancient Sacred Tribe. If the Ancient Sacred Tribe joined the Dragon Alliance, the Dragon Alliance's strength would be very strong. It might even surpass the Divine Fire Alliance and be second only to the Heavenly Supreme Alliance. Lu Ming was stunned. He didn't expect Xian Yanjuan to bring the Ancient Sacred Tribe back to join the Dragon Alliance and rely on him. Back in the Divine Wilderness continent, Xian Yanjuan and he were mortal enemies. They wouldn't rest until one of them died. Xian Yanjuan's resentful expression was still fresh in his mind. "What? Are we not welcome to join?" "Lu Ming, we're family," Xian Yanjuan said with a smile. "What?" Everyone was stunned. Autumn Moon, Huang Ling, Luo Tianyi, and the others all looked at Lu Ming curiously. Lu Ming and Xian Yanjuan were family? Could it be that Lu Ming and Xian Yanjuan had some secret relationship? Many people could not help but let their imaginations run wild. Xian Yanjuan chuckled and continued, "Lu Ming, you're my brother-in-law. Now that I'm relying on you, do you really not welcome me?" These words caused many people to be even more shocked. Especially Huang Ling, Chiu Moon, Luo Tianyi, and the other girls. "Young master, are you married to Miss Nianqing?" Well, they were so close back then. Now that so many years have passed, it's normal for them to get married. But why don't I see Miss Nianqing? Chiu Moon's mind was in a mess, and she felt a little bitter. Then, Chiu Moon shook her head and thought to herself, Chiu Moon, what are you thinking about? Young master and Miss Nianqing are a match made in heaven. You just need to stay by young master's side and serve him well. How can you be worthy of young master? So Lu Ming already has a wife, but why didn't he tell me? Huang Ling thought to herself, feeling a little disappointed. Luo Tianyi also had a strange look in her eyes. Among the crowd, only Long Chen was calm because he was Xian Yanjuan's true brother-in-law. Lu Ming smiled bitterly, but he could not refute Xian Yanjuan's words. With his relationship with Xian Yanqing, it was only a matter of time before they got married. Xian Yanjuan was Xian Yanqing's elder sister, so it wasn't wrong for her to call him brother-in-law. Are you really here to join the Dragon Alliance? Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and asked. Of course. Now that the Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard is divided and you are my family, I am most familiar with you. Naturally, I will come to join you. Xie Ninjuan said with a smile. Don't try to get close to me. Back then, you wanted to kill me. I really doubt your intentions. Lu Ming said coldly. People change. Back then, I was too short-sighted. Now, I naturally have to look further. In this world, there are no eternal enemies. Xie Ninjuan said with a smile on his face. Compared to the arrogant and indifferent person he used to be, it was indeed very different. You can join the Dragon Alliance, but the Dragon Alliance has its own rules. If you break the rules in the future, I will not show mercy. Lu Ming said. Of course. Xie Ninjuan chuckled. Her position in the ancient sacred tribe seemed to be extraordinary. The other ancient sacred tribe members seemed to listen to her. Lu Ming did not dare to underestimate Xie Ninjuan. Ever since he met this woman in Yuanlu, she gave Lu Ming a sense of danger. She was mysterious and unpredictable. Lu Ming felt that there was a terrifying force dormant in her body. Once it erupted, it would be earth-shattering. He also felt the same from Xian Yanqing. Then, Lu Ming controlled the disc array and let the ancient sacred tribe members in. Alright, let's start the alliance. Lu Ming waved his hand. However, this was the Yuanshan Saint Court after all, and the conditions were limited. The process of the alliance was very simple. Everyone greeted Lu Ming and then celebrated. While everyone was eating and drinking, outside the area covered by the disc array, another group of people arrived. People from the one only sacred palace. Lu Ming's gaze swept over. A few sky prides from the one only sacred palace stood outside the light screen. The leader was Yu Ji. Yu Ji, you have joined the Heavenly Supreme Alliance long ago. What business do you have with the Dragon Alliance today? Ouyang Wushuang's voice was heard. Do you want to change your allegiance and join the Dragon Alliance? The Dragon Alliance does not dare to accept people who change their allegiance at will. A sky pride from the Purple Flame Villa laughed. Humph, we are here today for my junior sister. Yuji snorted and looked at Autumn Moon. Junior sister Autumn Moon, come with us and join the Heavenly Supreme Alliance. If you stay in the Dragon Alliance, you will get into trouble sooner or later. Did Luo Tsangqiong ask you to come? Autumn Moon said indifferently. That's right. Luo Tsangqiong asked us to come, but it is also our own intention. There is no benefit for you to stay in the Dragon Alliance. Yuji said. Get lost. Autumn Moon scolded coldly. Yuji's face changed and became gloomy. Autumn Moon, don't be too selfish. Luo Tsangqiong is the grandson of a great emperor. If you go against him, you will only implicate the one only sacred palace and even your master. Hehe, you really know how to talk. The matter between the younger generation actually involves the one only sacred palace and the true emperor. Isn't it funny? Lu Ming said indifferently. Yu Ji, don't be so dignified. You are doing this for yourself. If you can bring me to the Heavenly Supreme Alliance, I am afraid Luo Tsangqiong will reward you handsomely. Autumn Moon said sarcastically. Yuji's face turned red. You don't want to get lost? Then come in and have a drink. Chapter 1920. Yuji and the other prodigies from the only sacred palace had a drastic change in expression. They turned around and ran. Their voices came from afar. Just you wait. Hehe, a few clowns. Huang Li grinned and returned to continue eating and drinking. After 3 rounds of drinking, the banquet finally ended. Those who joined the Dragon Alliance all lived within the range of the array disk. The establishment of the Dragon Alliance and the appearance of the third array disk made the atmosphere of the Origin Mountain Academy even more tense. Because 3 of the 4 array disks had already appeared, and there was only 1 left. The remaining small alliances competed even more fiercely. Killing broke out every day in the holy battlefield. After more than 10 days of competition, the 4th array disk was finally obtained by an alliance. That was the Knights Alliance. The leader of this alliance was a prodigy ranked third on the king's sage board. He was very powerful. In this way, the four array discs were all obtained and formed the four great alliances. When the remaining small groups and alliances saw this, they all joined the four alliances to seek protection. Because without the protection of the array disc, the Origin Mountain Academy was in danger and could be attacked at any time. There were very few people who did not join the four great alliances. There were only a few powerful lone wolves, such as the son of Death, Deathblade. He came and went alone. But no one dared to offend him. No matter where he went to cultivate, no one dared to stop him. He was too powerful. Now, except for Xinghe, no one could say that they could defeat Deathblade. But in this way, it was confirmed that Deathblade was not related to the Dragon Alliance. But still, most people joined the Heavenly Supreme Alliance. Without a doubt, the Heavenly Supreme Alliance was the most powerful. Someone made a ranking of the four great alliances according to their strength. The Heavenly Supreme Alliance was first. The Dragon Alliance was second. The Divine Fire Alliance and the Knights Alliance were third and fourth respectively. In the following period of time, the Origin Mountain Academy was even more chaotic. The four great alliances, in order to compete for cultivation places, began to fight and kill. It was not until a few months later that the fighting stopped. The four great alliances each occupied some cultivation places. The Origin Mountain's sacred ground entered a period of stability. The prodigies of the four great alliances each occupied a place and confronted each other. They began to cultivate with all their strength to improve their cultivation. During this time, Lu Ming would also choose some reliable people and use the Great Pill Furnace to help them refine their spirit bodies and raise their spirit bodies' grade. For example, the Desolate Races for mid-grade Heaven spiritual body elites, with the help of the Great Evolution Cauldron, all of their spiritual bodies had evolved to high-grade Heaven spiritual bodies, greatly increasing their strength. As for Xuaningxin, with the help of the Great Development Cauldron, her spiritual body had also become a high-class spiritual body. Xuaningxin was originally a true dragon. With the help of the Great Development Cauldron, her spiritual body improved rapidly. The strength of the entire Dragon Alliance was continuously improving. In the blink of an eye, more than a year had passed. At this time, a year and a half had passed since the Great Emperor gave his Tao lecture and announced the new rules. During this period of time, although Lu Ming often helped others temper their spirit bodies, he did not neglect his own cultivation. The place he spent the most time in was the Holy Battlefield. In the Holy Battlefield, he fought with powerful ferocious beasts to stimulate his own potential through battle. Lu Ming's cultivation had also successfully made another breakthrough, reaching the great completion of the Absolute Saint Realm. As for the other king bodies, such as Autumn Moon, Huang Ling, Huang Li, Long Chen, and the others, they had all made breakthroughs, reaching the great completion of the Absolute Saint Realm. Luo Tianyi had even reached the pinnacle of the Absolute Saint Realm. The higher the cultivation, the harder it was to make a breakthrough. It was already very fast to make a breakthrough in more than a year, and this was also because of the good cultivation conditions in the Saint Academy of Yuan Mountain. If it was normal cultivation, it definitely wouldn't be so fast. As for the divine powers, since Lu Ming's divine powers had reached 90% mastery, the improvement had become even slower. After a year and a half, Lu Ming's divine powers had only reached 93%. Every step was very difficult. Especially the closer he was to perfection, the harder it was. Heng Xinghe had reached the great completion of the Absolute Saint Realm a year and a half ago, but it was definitely not that easy to take this step and reach the Boundary Emperor realm. Celestial City was the head of the 9 great sacred grounds in the land of Yuan Mountain. Its overall strength was much stronger than Ancient Moon's sacred ground. Celestial City had a few of the biggest ancient families, all of which had been passed down for countless years. They were powerful and had a strong foundation. Heng family was one of them, known as the descendants of the Celestial Emperor. He family was also one of them. Their strength and foundation were incomparably strong, and they were as famous as Heng family. Moreover, He family and Heng family had a grudge against each other, and they competed with each other. 1,000 years ago, the two families had a terrible war, and the casualties were unparalleled. It was only in the recent hundreds of years that things had calmed down. The He family's mansion occupied an extremely vast and boundless area. In the He family's mansion, there were not only endless palaces and pavilions, but also mountains that towered into the clouds and winding rivers. It was like a country. On a mountain peak of He family's mansion, there were a few figures standing. One of them was a white-haired elder with a kind expression. Beside the elder stood a burly young man. These two people were Ice Dragon Valley Master and Tian Chui. Not far from them, there was another elder. This elder was wearing a brocade robe, embroidered with patterns of different scenery of the four seasons. However, he was very old, much older than Ice Dragon Valley Master. His face was full of wrinkles, piled up like a mountain. His hair was almost gone, and his vitality was dried up. However, from the moment his eyes opened and closed, there was a flash of terrifying light. One could tell that this person was definitely a very terrifying expert. However, the three of them were looking at the center of the mountain peak, where a young girl was sitting cross-legged. This young girl was Lu Ming's first direct disciple, Xiang Lu. At this moment, Lu Xiang's body was emitting a mysterious radiance. The vicinity of the mountain peak was filled with endless vitality. Countless flowers and trees grew wildly. Small trees turned into towering ancient trees, and even some ordinary grass turned into spiritual herbs with spirituality. Boom! After a moment, Lu Xiang's aura suddenly skyrocketed. She broke through. On the side, the eyes of the skinny elder, Ice Dragon Valley Master, and Tian Chui lit up, and they were all amazed. Lu Xiang had broken through, and she had broken through to the peak of the great sacred realm. Especially Ice Dragon Valley Master and Tian Chui, who were utterly astounded. When they had escaped from the Tsang continent, Xiang's cultivation was at the advanced martial dominator realm. Now that a few years had passed, Xiang's cultivation had reached the peak of the great sacred realm. Xiang was not even 15 years old. A few hours later, Lu Xiang withdrew her aura. She opened her eyes and rose to her feet. A few years had passed, Xiang had become a beautiful young girl. Her figure was tall and her appearance was stunning. She already had the potential to be a great beauty. Not bad, Xiang, I didn't expect you to break through so quickly and reach the peak of the great sacred realm. Such an achievement is rare even in the entire Yuan Mountain. The skinny elder came over and said with a smile. Thank you for the compliment, Senior Higao. Chapter 1921. What I'm saying is the truth, not a compliment. In the land of Yuan Mountain, there are only a few people who can compare to your achievements. The skinny old man, Higao, smiled and changed the topic. Xiang, have you considered what I said before about you acknowledging me as your master? Xiang, thanks Senior for your kindness. However, Xiang already has a master. Without my master's permission, Xiang does not dare to accept another master. Xiang politely bowed and declined the other party's offer. Higao's face sank slightly and said, Xiang, you have to consider carefully. I am a true emperor. What is your master's cultivation? Although my master's cultivation is not high, Xiang believes that he will become a peak expert in this world in the future. Xiang said tenderly with a firm look in her eyes. In her heart, Lu Ming was the strongest. Although his cultivation was not as high as Higao's, he would surpass Higao sooner or later. Silly girl. How can it be so easy to become a peak expert in Yuan continent? Moreover, he can't even protect his own disciple. What achievements can he have? He might have already fallen by now. You are still young. Don't be fooled by the flowery words of others. Higao said with a smile. He thought that Xiang was still a child and did not understand anything. Xiang's face sank slightly and said, Senior Higao, you have saved Xiang, Valley Master Grandpa and Martial Uncle Tian Chui. Xiang is grateful to you. However, please do not insult my master. Otherwise, Xiang will have to leave. Alright, alright, alright. I will not force you. You can slowly think about it. However, you have to cultivate the 4 seasons cultivation technique that I will impart to you. The 4 seasons cultivation technique is very compatible with your physique. It can stimulate your potential to a greater extent. Your talent is unparalleled. I really do not want to see you being held back and wasting your talent. He Gao sighed. However, no one noticed that a cold glint flashed in the depths of his eyes. All right. Xiang nodded, and her face looked better. Xiang, you and your martial uncle Tian Chui should go back first. I have something to discuss with Grandpa Valley Master. He Gao smiled. All right. Goodbye, Senior He Gao. Goodbye, Valley Master Grandpa. Xiang nodded obediently. After bidding farewell to He Gao and Ice Dragon Valley Master, she soared into the sky and left with Skyhammer. The moment Xiang and Skyhammer left, He Gao's face darkened. He looked coldly at Ice Dragon Valley Master and a terrifying aura pressed down on him. Ice Dragon Valley Master's body trembled and he could not help but retreat. His face was pale. He Gao was a true emperor, so Ice Dragon Valley Lord couldn't resist at all. I told you to persuade Xiang to take me as her master. It seems like you didn't persuade her. He Gao said with a dark face. It's Xiang's own choice who she wants to take as her master. What's the point of me trying to persuade her? If she wants to acknowledge you as her master, why would she need me to persuade her? Ice Dragon Valley Master said. Humph. He Gao snorted and said, what about when I told you to persuade Xiang to cultivate the 4 seasons technique? Did you persuade her? Ice Dragon Valley Master's eyes flashed with a strange light. He stared at He Gao and said, why do you want Xiang to cultivate the 4 seasons technique? You don't have to care about that. Just persuade her to cultivate it. He Gao said. Ice Dragon Valley Master sneered and said, you can kill me. No matter what, I won't force Xiang to do something she doesn't want to do. You want to die? It's not that easy. He Gao said coldly as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Then, Ice Dragon Valley Master's body trembled as if he was experiencing endless pain. Roar! After a while, even with Ice Dragon Valley Master's composure, he couldn't hold it in anymore and let out a painful roar. His gentle face was completely twisted because of the pain. Roar! Roar! Ice Dragon Valley Master kept roaring and his body was covered in cold sweat. He stretched out his claws and wanted to scratch his body, but an invisible force enveloped him and made it hard for him to move. Soul-devouring worms can constantly bite your soul and make you suffer incomparable pain. It's 10 times or 100 times more painful than the physical body. Enjoy it. He Gao said coldly. You're so despicable. If Xiang knows about it, she'll probably leave, Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. If she wants to leave, it'll be the time of your death. He Gao said coldly. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared again. He felt that his soul was being bitten by a worm and endless pain drowned him. After a while, He Gao waved his hand and controlled the soul-devouring worms to stop biting. Ice Dragon Valley Master's body fell to the ground and he gasped for breath. His body was drenched in cold sweat. I'll give you 2 more months to persuade Xiang to be my disciple and cultivate the 4 seasons cultivation technique with me. Otherwise, you'll suffer a fate worse than death. Also, don't try to tell Xiang or seek death. Otherwise, Xiang and Tian Chui will die. He Gao said coldly. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared from the place. Ice Dragon Valley Master took a few deep breaths and sat down with his legs crossed to recover. After half an hour, he recovered. He Gao, why are you so persistent to let Xiang cultivate the 4 seasons cultivation technique? This person is sinister and cunning. He's definitely not doing it for Xiang's sake like he said. What should I do now? Ice Dragon Valley Master frowned and pondered. He Gao always put on an amiable look in front of Xiang Xiang. However, after Xiang Xiang left, he would show his true colors. He Gao had planted the soul-devouring worm in him to threaten him to persuade Xiang Xiang to be He Gao's disciple. Ice Dragon Valley Master would never allow Xiang Xiang to be He Gao's disciple. However, this was the He clan. There were many strong cultivators in the He family. Anyone in the He family could kill him with his initial completion absolute saint cultivation. He wanted to take Xiang Xiang and the others away, but there was nothing he could do. He might even implicate Xiang Xiang and the others. He returned to his residence worriedly. Their residence was a huge monastery. The monastery was guarded by experts. Not even a fly would be able to get out. Valley Master Grandpa, what did Senior He Gao say to you? Ice Dragon Valley Master saw Xiang Xiang as soon as he returned to the courtyard. Xiang Xiang asked curiously. Nothing. I just asked Senior He Gao about the whereabouts of Lu Ming and the others. Ice Dragon Valley Master found a random reason. His face darkened and he said, Xiang Xiang, did you cultivate the 4 seasons cultivation technique that He Gao gave you? Didn't Valley Master Grandpa tell me not to cultivate it? That's why I didn't cultivate it. Xiang Xiang shook her head and said. Remember, don't cultivate it. Just cultivate the technique that your master gave you. Ice Dragon Valley Master reminded her. Xiang Xiang knows. Chapter 1922. For the next few days, the Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley walked around the courtyard, observing the terrain and looking for a way to leave the He family. However, how powerful was the He clan? Experts were as common as clouds, and there were spiritual senses everywhere. If he wanted to leave the He clan openly, it was impossible for him to not alert the He clan. On this day, the Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley arrived outside another mansion. This is He Gao's mansion. The Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley was stunned and subconsciously restrained his aura. Then, he saw a middle-aged man leading 2 young women into He Gao's door. Why do you think Elder He Gao often asks people to send young women in? And he even teaches them cultivation? The 2 men guarding the door were middle-aged men. At this moment, one of them spoke softly. Hearing this, the Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley's heart skipped a beat. He restrained his aura to the extreme and circulated his saint power to his ears so that he could hear more clearly. I secretly heard some news. I'll tell you, but you can't spread it. The other man guarding the door whispered. What news? The man from before revealed a curious expression. I heard that these women are all Elder He Gao's cultivation vessels. Elder He Gao sent these women a modified version of the 4 seasons cultivation technique. When these women succeeded in their cultivation, Elder He Gao visited these women and devoured their primordial yin completely, using it to increase his cultivation. I heard that Elder He Gao's tribulation is coming soon, but he is not confident that he can survive it. That's why he used this method to raise his cultivation to fight against the tribulation that occurs once every 300,000 years. The man behind explained softly. Hearing this, the Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley was shocked. He felt cold sweat on his back. He finally knew why He Gao had always wanted to take Xiang Xiang as his disciple and wanted to send Xiang Xiang the 4 seasons technique. Taking her as his disciple was fake. His real goal was to let Xiang Xiang cultivate He Gao's 4 seasons technique. Xiang Xiang was a living body. If she cultivated He Gao's 4 seasons technique and had her primordial yin devoured by He Gao, it would be of great help to He Gao. This was He Gao's real goal. Ice Dragon Valley Master was terrified. Fortunately, he felt that something was wrong and did not let Xiang Xiang cultivate the 4 seasons technique. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. He Gao, you old bastard, you're completely heartless. Ice Dragon Valley Master gritted his teeth in worry. He had to think of a way to escape. It was too dangerous to continue like this. If Xiang Xiang didn't cultivate the 4 seasons cultivation technique, who knew if He Gao would use other shameless methods to force Xiang Xiang to cultivate it? Ice Dragon Valley Master returned to his courtyard uneasily. "Grandpa Valley Master, what's wrong?" Xiang Xiang saw that Ice Dragon Valley Master was uneasy and asked in surprise. I'm fine, I'm fine." Ice Dragon Valley Master shook his head. He couldn't tell Xiang Xiang about this. If he told Xiang Xiang, Xiang Xiang would ask He Gao in a fit of anger. He Gao would probably fall out with him immediately. He had to hide this matter in his heart and plan in secret. "Xiang Xiang, you must not cultivate the 4 seasons cultivation technique." Ice Dragon Valley Master warned again. Seeing Xiang Xiang nod her head obediently, Ice Dragon Valley Master was relieved. Time passed quickly. In a blink of an eye, a month had passed. "Xiang Xiang, in 2 days, there will be a grand auction in Celestial City. Let me bring you to take a look." He Gao found Xiang Xiang and revealed a kind smile. Okay. Xiang Xiang cheered. She had been cultivating in the He family all this time and had long wanted to go out for a walk. "I'll bring Xiang Xiang out for a walk," He Gao said to Ice Dragon Valley Master and Sky Hammer, then walked out with Xiang Xiang. Ice Dragon Valley Master revealed a worried look, but there was nothing he could do. Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard, Lu Ming also planned to go out. In this period of time, he helped some people to temper their spirit body and consumed a large amount of holy medicine. Even the holy medicine brought by Huang Ling and the others are not much left. Therefore, he planned to go out and buy some holy medicine. For more than a year, Heng family has been sending experts to guard the surroundings of the Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard. As long as Lu Ming went out, they would take action against Lu Ming. Lu Ming is not afraid of this. He has divine breath technique, he can change his appearance and aura. With his current cultivation, even if a martial emperor stood in front of him, they would not be able to recognize him. The reason why he did not go out before was because he did not want to go out. If he wanted to go out, he could go out at any time. Lu Ming's appearance changed, he turned into a young man with a white complexion. At the same time, he changed into a white robe and held a folding fan. He suddenly turned into an elegant young master. Even his aura is different from before. Lu Ming smiled, stepped on the air and flew towards the gate of the Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard. Then, he swaggered out of the gate of the Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard. Outside the Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard, 2 Heng family martial emperors have been guarding the place. When they saw Lu Ming come out, their spiritual sense swept over Lu Ming's body. They did not find any abnormality, so they did not care about him. Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard is a place where heaven's prides gather. Every day, young people come and go. Ordinary martial emperors really can't see through me. Lu Ming faintly smiled and swaggered out of the Origin Mountain Holy Courtyard. Not long after he arrived at this bustling place, he heard that there would be a grand auction in Celestial City today. At that time, there would be a lot of rare treasures being auctioned. Even martial emperors would be there. Lu Ming immediately became interested and walked towards the auction house. After paying a certain fee, he walked into the auction house. So many people. As soon as he walked into the auction house, he saw an extremely spacious hall. Countless figures gathered in the hall. Rough estimation, there are no less than hundreds of thousands of people. Around the hall, there were VIP rooms. Of course, they were all prepared for those who were powerful or had prominent statuses. Most of the people can only stay in the hall. Lu Ming casually found a seat in the hall and sat down. As time went by, the number of people increased. An hour later, the auction began. The first auction item made Lu Ming's eyes widen. Because, it is an emperor weapon. Lu Ming sighed. Celestial City's grand auction is indeed extraordinary. The first auction item is actually an emperor weapon. However, although Lu Ming covets it, the price of an emperor weapon is astonishing. Moreover, a group of people are competing for it. The price rose to a terrifying level. Lu Ming can only look at it and sigh. In the end, the emperor weapon was bought by a person in the VIP room at a terrifying price. He is suspected to be a martial emperor powerhouse. The auction continued. The value of the second auction item is far less valuable than the emperor weapon. This is natural. In an auction, there are at least hundreds of treasures. It is impossible for each of them to be as valuable as the emperor weapon. That would be too shocking. But even so, the second auction item is also a rare treasure. Everyone bid enthusiastically, one treasure after another was bought. Chapter 1923. The 120th treasure, a drop of tear of life. On the auction's high platform, an old man who was in charge of the auction announced. As soon as he said that, the entire place suddenly fell silent. Many people's eyes lit up. It's actually a tear of life. That's an unparalleled treasure that contains endless vitality. Indeed, it can save a life at a critical moment. Many people discussed with fiery eyes. It's actually a tear of life. Lu Ming's eyes also lit up. In the divine wilderness continent, he had once obtained the water of life to heal his father's injuries and re-embark on the path of martial arts. Later on, he had even used the water of life to help Supreme Nine Yang reform his body. He had even used the water of life to refine his clone. The tear of life and the water of life had different ways of achieving the same result. However, in terms of effects, they were worlds apart. Comparing the water of life to the tear of life was like comparing a piece of scrap metal to a diamond. In VIP room number 6, it was precisely He Gao and Lu Xiangxiang. At that moment, Lu Xiangxiang's eyes lit up. She had a body of life. The tear of life was very useful to her and could greatly increase her cultivation speed. Xiangxiang, you want to buy a tear of life? He Gao looked at Lu Xiangxiang, the corners of his mouth curling into a smile. Yes, but Xiangxiang doesn't have that many origin stones. Forget it. Xiangxiang nodded. Silly girl. If you don't have any origin stones, I'll give them to you. He Gao smiled. That won't do. I don't accept a reward for nothing. Xiangxiang shook her head. Just treat it as me lending it to you. You can return it to me in the future. Later on, you can raise the price as much as you want. He Gao smiled. Alright, then. Xiangxiang thanks Senior He Gao first. Xiangxiang cupped her fists gratefully at He Gao. He Gao smiled and nodded, revealing a satisfied look. This was the reason why he brought Lu Xiangxiang out to participate in the auction. He wanted to use this opportunity to get closer to Lu Xiangxiang and increase her favorable impression of him. At that time, Lu Xiangxiang would be able to smoothly cultivate the 4 seasons cultivation technique. The starting price for one drop of Tear of Life is 200,000 high-grade origin stones. The auctioneer announced. 250,000. 300,000. Immediately, the price of the Tear of Life rose steadily. Not long after, it reached a high price of 500,000. Lu Ming shook his head. Although the Tear of Life was precious, there was no need to buy it at such a high price. If Xiangxiang is here, I can buy it to help her cultivate. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Thinking of this, Lu Ming sighed. He wondered how Xiangxiang and the others were doing. Back then, Ice Dragon Valley Master took Xuanixin, Tian Chui, and Xiangxiang to escape. Later on, they encountered danger and Xuanixin and Xiangxiang were separated. Now, how were they doing? However, the land of Yuan Mountain was so vast. Where was he going to find them? The price of the Tear of Life continued to rise. Not long after, it reached 800,000 high-grade origin stones. 1 million high-grade origin stones. At this moment, a clear voice rang out. Hearing this voice, Lu Ming's heart suddenly trembled. This is Xiangxiang's voice. Lu Ming's gaze could not help but look at VIP room number 6. Although, in his memory, Xiangxiang's voice was more immature, and this voice was more mature and had some changes, Lu Ming could still tell that this voice was Xiangxiang's voice. Why is Xiangxiang here? And in the VIP room, How is this possible? Could it be that I missed her so much that I'm hallucinating? Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind one after another. 1,100,000. After VIP room number 6 called out the price, the number of people who increased the price decreased a lot, but there were still people who increased the price, and the price rose to 1,100,000. 1,200,000. The clear voice sounded again in VIP room number 6. It's Xiang Xiang, it's definitely Xiang Xiang. Lu Ming was certain that this was Xiang Xiang's voice. As for why Xiang Xiang did not recognize his voice, it was because he did not use his original voice at all. Who knew if there were any Heng family powerhouses here who could recognize his voice? Next, the price of the Tear of Life rose to 1,500,000 high-grade origin stones, and it was won by Xiang Xiang. He Gao smiled slightly. 1,500,000 high-grade origin stones was just a drop in the bucket for him, but it was worth it if he could win a good impression. The bidding continued, but Lu Ming seemed a little uneasy. He wished that he could immediately go to VIP room number 6 to see if it was really Xiang Xiang. After all, there were people with similar voices in the world. However, the bidding was not over yet, so he could only wait. The auction continued. Lu Ming did not have the energy to pay attention to the subsequent auctions. He was constantly paying attention to VIP room number 6. The item for auction number 216 is a primal chaos stone. The voice of the old auctioneer rang out, startling Lu Ming. There is actually a primal chaos stone. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was not just him. The eyes of the others lit up as well. Primal chaos stones were born in the primal chaos before the world opened. They contained primal chaos chi and were rare treasures. There is actually a bid in this auction. Everyone stared at the old auctioneer with fervent gazes. The martial emperors in all the VIP rooms found it hard to suppress their emotions, revealing greedy expressions. If they could refine the primal chaos stone into their small worlds, it would make their small worlds even more solid and stable, making them even stronger. However, at that moment the old auctioneer spoke again slowly. However, for some reason, the primal chaos chi on this primal chaos stone has dried up. What? There is no primal chaos chi. A primal chaos stone without primal chaos chi is just an ordinary stone. It is not very useful. I got excited for nothing. Many people shook their heads. The primal chaos stone was the most precious because it contained primal chaos chi. Without primal chaos chi, its value dropped by countless times. Lu Ming also showed a look of pity. Everyone, even without primal chaos chi, the primal chaos stone is still a rare material for refining weapons. Its material is extremely sturdy. If it is used as the main material, it can be refined into an emperor weapon. The auctioneer said again. Many people shook their heads slightly. It was just a material for emperor weapons and was not very useful. It was better to buy an emperor weapon directly. The martial emperors shook their heads and lost interest in the primal chaos stone. I must get this primal chaos stone. Lu Ming thought to himself. Although there was no primal chaos chi in the primal chaos stone, Lu Ming cultivated the law of primal chaos. Even if there was no primal chaos chi in the primal chaos stone, it might still be useful to him. Alright, the starting price is 200,000 high-grade primal chaos stones. The auctioneer announced. 250,000. Someone immediately started bidding. Chapter 1924. Everyone bid for the Chaos Stone. Soon, the price of the Chaos Stone was pushed to 500,000 high-grade origin stones. However, at this price, the number of people bidding for it dwindled. After all, this Chaos Stone no longer had any Chaos Chi. It could only be considered as a refining material. Although it could be used to refine imperial weapons, there was a success rate. If it failed, the material would be wasted. Therefore, unless it was a finished imperial weapon, the price would not be so exaggerated. Soon, the price reached 800,000 origin stones. Almost no one bid higher. 800,000 origin stones. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? The old host asked. His voice echoed in the auction hall. 1 million. At that moment, Lu Ming opened his mouth and called out a high price of 1 million. He did not bid before because he wanted to wait until later to get it in one fell swoop. The old host's eyes lit up. He looked at Lu Ming and said, "Young master, you bid 1 million high-grade origin stones. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher?" After that, the old man asked 3 times, but no one bid. A chaos stone without chaos chi was worth 1 million high-grade origin stones. It was already a high price. Naturally, no one bid. In the end, Lu Ming bought the origin stone for 1 million high-grade origin stones. A young and beautiful woman came to Lu Ming with the chaos stone. "Young master, this is a chaos stone," the young woman said. She meant to hand over the origin stones. "May I ask if I can use an imperial weapon?" Lu Ming asked. "Of course." The young woman smiled. "All right." Lu Ming nodded. A pair of small wings appeared in his palm. Then, the wings slowly grew larger and emitted a powerful imperial aura. Lu Ming obtained this pair of wings from the Golden Crow Crown Prince when he killed him. That's an imperial weapon. Many people's eyes lit up. I didn't expect this kid to have an imperial weapon at such a young age. Some people's eyes flashed with greed. He's so young, but he can control an imperial weapon. He must be a prodigy of the Origin Mountain Academy. Someone else said. Those words caused the hearts of those who had been greedy to shake, and they immediately gave up on their greed. The geniuses of the Origin Mountain's sacred courtyard were almost all from powerful forces. If one wanted to get the attention of these people, one might lose one's life. Of course, it's possible to offset it with a monarch weapon. Young master, you can directly auction off the monarch weapon, and the excess origin stones will be given to you on the spot. The young woman smiled. Let's do that then. Lu Ming nodded and immediately handed the imperial armament to the young woman. The young woman also handed the storage ring containing the primal chaos stones to Lu Ming. Following that, Lu Ming's imperial armament was auctioned off. In the end, the monarch weapon was sold for 5 million high-grade origin stones. After deducting the 1 million origin stones and the processing fee, Lu Ming received nearly 4 million high-grade origin stones. The auction continued, and the more precious the treasures were, the more expensive they were. Even true emperors and martial emperors joined in the bidding for the last few treasures. The price reached a jaw-dropping level, which was an eye-opener for Lu Ming. Compared to those martial emperors and true emperors, his assets were simply a drop in the ocean. Finally, the auction came to an end after the last item was successfully auctioned off. After the auction ended, Lu Ming left the auction house in advance and waited outside. Swoosh! Swoosh! From the auction house, silhouettes flew out one after another and flew in all directions of Celestial City. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw an old man flying out of the auction house with a young woman. Xiang Xiang! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Although the young woman had grown up a lot and her figure was much taller, Lu Ming could tell at a glance that she was his disciple, Xiang Xiang. Lu Ming quickly chased after them. Fortunately, He Gao didn't use too much speed. He seemed to have the intention of bringing Xiang Xiang around so that she could enjoy the scenery of Celestial City. Therefore, Lu Ming could still keep up. After following them for a while, they flew for a long distance. In front of them, He Gao and Lu Shangxiang's figures suddenly came to a stop. Little guy, why did you follow us all the way from the auction house? He Gao said coldly as a powerful aura burst out from him. This aura was earth-shattering. Lu Ming's body trembled violently. He quickly retreated 1,000 meters and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This was after the other party had shown mercy. Otherwise, he would have died from this aura. Senior, it's a misunderstanding. I'm here to look for Xiang Xiang. Lu Ming quickly spoke and revealed his original voice. Hearing Lu Ming's voice, Xiang Xiang's body trembled. She revealed an incomparably surprised expression and cried out, "Master, are you master?" N. He Gao was slightly stunned. In the depths of his eyes, a wisp of ice-cold killing intent flashed past. However, it disappeared in a flash and didn't leak out. Xiang, it's me. However, it's inconvenient for me to reveal my true form now. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Xiang. He wasn't familiar with He Gao, so he naturally maintained some vigilance. Master, it's really you. With a swoosh, Xiang pounced towards Lu Ming and plunged into Lu Ming's embrace. Master, where did you go? Xiang missed you so much. Xiang choked with sobs as tears welled up in her eyes. Silly girl, aren't we reunited now? Oh right, Valley Master, where's Senior Tian Chui? Lu Ming asked. They're at the He family. Xiang said. He family. Lu Ming's heart moved. There was a He family in Celestial City that was equally famous as the Hung family. Lu Ming naturally heard of them before. Could it be this He family? Ha, Xiang, this little brother is the master that you often mention? At this time, He Gao smiled and walked over. Yes, he's my master. Master, this is Senior He Gao, the true emperor expert of the He family. Xiang introduced to Lu Ming. Greetings to Senior. Lu Ming greeted He Gao. Truly a hero from a young age. Little brother, Xiang missed you a lot during this period of time. How about this, it's rare for us to meet. Let's go to the He family first, how about it? He Gao smiled and expressed his goodwill. Master, let's go together. Grandpa Valley Master and Senior Uncle Tian Chui will definitely be very happy to see you. Xiang pulled Lu Ming's arm with a bright smile on her face. Lu Ming nodded and followed He Gao to the He family with Xiang. After arriving at the He family, Tian Chui and Ice Dragon Valley Master were stunned when they saw Lu Ming. When they heard Lu Ming's voice, they were overjoyed. The few of them gathered together and chatted for a while. Lu Ming found out that when Ice Dragon Valley Master, Tian Chui, and Xiang were separated from Xuanningshin, they happened to meet He Gao and were brought back to the He family by He Gao. After Tian Chui and Ice Dragon Valley Master knew that Xuanningshin was fine, they were naturally overjoyed. Little brother Lu Ming, this old man has something to talk to you about. Chapter 1925. He Gao opened his mouth, saying that he had something to discuss with Lu Ming, which made Lu Ming slightly surprised. He Gao was a true emperor powerhouse, what did he have to discuss with him? When Ice Dragon Valley Master heard this, his expression suddenly changed, deep worry flashing in his eyes. Lu Ming and He Gao left the place of residence and came to a quiet place. You better return to your original appearance. In front of this old man, disguising yourself has no effect. He Gao was the first to speak, looking at Lu Ming with bright eyes. Lu Ming's expression did not change. He already knew that He Gao could definitely see through it. He Gao was a true emperor powerhouse. At such a close distance, even divine breath art could not hide from the other party. Moreover, when they saw Skyhammer and Ice Dragon Valley Master previously, the two of them were stunned at first, then overjoyed. From this point, it was not hard to guess that Lu Ming went through disguise. With a thought, Lu Ming returned to his original appearance, cupped his fists and said, Senior, this junior also has a reason for this matter, and did not intend to hide it. What's your name? You don't have to hide it from me. As long as this old man sends people to investigate, it won't be difficult to find out your background. A light flashed across He Gao's eyes. This junior is called Lu Ming. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then said his real name. Like what He Gao said, since he had already revealed his true appearance, with the other party's ability, it was very easy to find out who he was. Moreover, the He clan and Hung clan had enmity, they would not tell on him to Hung clan, right? After hearing Lu Ming say his real name, He Gao's expression changed and said, You are Lu Ming, the son of primal chaos from the Origin Mountain's sacred courtyard, The one who pulled out the Heavenly Emperor's sword and led the monarchs to war with Stellar River, the Lu Ming? Since Senior said so, then it's this Junior. Lu Ming rubbed his nose. More than a year ago, the commotion caused by Lu Ming was so great that even now, the Han family had emperor-level powerhouses guarding outside the sacred courtyard. That time, it even triggered a battle between emperor-level powerhouses. Lu Ming's name had already spread throughout the celestial city. Anyone with some cultivation base would have heard of Lu Ming's name. I've long heard of your great name. Now that I've finally met you, you're truly a peerless genius, a true dragon among men. He Gao chuckled. Senior, you flatter me. May I know why Senior has called me here? Lu Ming cupped his fists and asked. He Gao couldn't have looked for him just to ask about his true identity, right? I heard that you are Xiang's master. He Gao asked. Lu Ming was taken aback and said, that's right. Xiang is my true disciple. Lu Ming, to tell you the truth, Xiang's physique is very suitable to inherit this old man's mantle. Therefore, I also want to accept Xiang as my last disciple. However, Xiang said that it depends on your opinion. Therefore, you should persuade Xiang to accept this old man as her master. He Gao went straight to the point and spoke his thoughts. Lu Ming's face changed and said, Senior, you want me to persuade my disciple to change her master? I'm just giving her a better choice. Lu Ming, this old man is a true emperor. If Xiang becomes my disciple, her talent and potential will be better displayed. Moreover, you are now in a precarious situation. You are surrounded by the Han family. If Xiang follows you, do you want her to take the risk with you? He Gao said. This, Lu Ming showed a look of contemplation. Lu Ming, if you are thinking for Xiang's good, you should persuade her to accept this old man. With the He family's resources supporting her, she will be able to reach the peak. He Gao continued. Senior, the matter of accepting a master is purely a personal wish. I can persuade Xiang, but whether Xiang is willing or not is up to her. Lu Ming said. A trace of sharpness flashed in the depths of He Gao's eyes. Then, he smiled and said, that's good too. You go and persuade her first. Since you two have reunited, you can stay in the He family for a few more days. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Then, He Gao called someone to bring Lu Ming back to Xiang's residence. After Lu Ming left, cold killing intent flashed in He Gao's eyes. Humph, you want to be perfunctory with this old man? You really don't know what death is. He Gao snorted coldly. With his experience, he could see at a glance that Lu Ming was completely perfunctory just now. He didn't really want to persuade Xiang to accept him as a master. I didn't expect that the master Xiang was talking about is actually this brat Lu Ming. As long as this brat is dead, that brat Xiang will have to obediently accept this old man as her master and cultivate the 4 seasons cultivation technique. Moreover, this brat is very valuable now. Cold killing intent flashed in He Gao's eyes. Then, he took a step out and left the He family, heading towards the other direction of Celestial City. Soon, a vast group of palaces appeared in front of him. This was the Han family. He Gao wanted to borrow a knife to kill someone, to borrow the knife of the Han family. Who is it? He Gao's arrival naturally alarmed the experts of the Han family. Boom! The aura of a true emperor erupted from He Gao's body, enveloping a large part of the Han family's palaces. Let your true emperor come out to see me. He Gao's voice resounded. In the next moment, a terrifying aura erupted from the palaces of the Han family. A middle-aged man stepped out and stood in the sky, looking at He Gao. Old ghost He Gao, why have you come to my Han family? The true emperor of the Han family said coldly. The Han family and the He family had been at odds since ancient times. Naturally, he didn't have a good attitude towards He Gao. I'm here to make a deal with you. He Gao smiled faintly. What deal? The true emperor of the Han family asked. It's about Lu Ming. He Gao said. Lu Ming. Isn't he in the Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain? Do you have a way to enter the Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain and capture Lu Ming? The true emperor of the Hung family sneered with disdain. The Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain was guarded by 3 great emperors. Even the great emperor of the Hung family couldn't directly enter the Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain and capture Lu Ming. Who said that Lu Ming is in the Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain? He Gao smiled. Not in the Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain? That's impossible. My Hung family has always had experts guarding outside the academy. The true emperor of the Hung family's expression changed. Humph, that's because your Hung family is trash. Lu Ming is already out of the Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain. He Gao sneered. He Gao, do you know where Lu Ming is? The true emperor of the Hung family's eyes lit up. Yes, but I can't tell you the news for free. You'll have to pay the price. He Gao said. What do you want? The true emperor of the Hung family narrowed his eyes. Tribulation transcending divine robe. He Gao slowly said. The true emperor of the Hung family's expression changed drastically. He shouted, Tribulation transcending divine robe. He Gao, you're asking for too much. Impossible. The tribulation transcending divine robe was shockingly valuable for martial emperors. It could help martial emperors overcome their tribulations. It was many times more valuable than ordinary tribulation transcending heavenly treasures. Ordinary tribulation transcending heavenly treasures were useless for martial emperors. Chapter 1926. Every 333,333 years, martial emperors would have to face a great tribulation, each one more powerful than the last. Since ancient times, countless powerhouses, peerless emperor-level powerhouses, had been reduced to ashes by the heavenly tribulation. There were very, very few people who could live forever. Who would want to die to a tribulation at the true emperor level? Thus, the tribulation transcendence divine robe that could increase one's chances of surviving the tribulation was invaluable to martial emperors. Surviving a tribulation would allow one to live for 300,000 more years. During this time, one could go to dangerous places and obtain fortune. Perhaps their cultivation would reach the next level and they would be able to survive the next tribulation. No wonder the Hung True Emperor reacted so strongly when He Gao mentioned the tribulation transcendence divine robe. Let me tell you, Lu Ming will return to Origin Mountain Sacred Institution soon. Once he's there, you won't be able to capture him and get the Heavenly Emperor's sword. Think carefully, which is more important, the tribulation transcendence divine robe or the Heavenly Emperor's sword? He Gao sneered. The Hung True Emperor's expression changed, seemingly considering the possibility. Give him the tribulation transcendence divine robe. Another voice came from the Hung clan's palace. Next, a white-haired old man stepped out. He was also a true emperor. He Gao's expression changed slightly as he retreated 100 miles, afraid of being surrounded. The He and Hung clan had been enemies for a long time. He naturally had to be careful. He Gao, we can give you the tribulation transcendence divine robe, but I hope you're not lying to us. Otherwise, the Hung clan will go all out to kill you. The white-haired old man said coldly. Give me the tribulation transcendence divine robe and I'll take you to Lu Ming. He Gao said. Very well, here you go. The white-haired old man nodded and returned to the Hung clan. After a while, he came out again and waved his hand, sending a storage ring to He Gao. He Gao received it and scanned it with his spiritual sense. His face lit up with joy. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. He could get rid of Lu Ming and make Xiang Xiang give up. She could become his disciple, cultivate the 4 seasons merit art, and get the tribulation transcendence divine robe. As long as the plan worked, he had a 90% chance of surviving the tribulation and increasing his lifespan by 33,333 years. He Gao, can tell us now. Where is Lu Ming? The emperor from the Hung clan. Lu Ming is my guest at my mansion. He Gao smiled. Come, we'll go with you. The white-haired true emperor from the Han clan said and followed He Gao back to the He clan. After Lu Ming and He Gao parted ways, he frowned. He Emperor Li was emperor to a true heavenly immortal emperor. A true emperor taking Xiang as a true heavenly immortal emperor's disciple was naturally a good thing for Xiang. But for some reason, Lu Ming felt uncomfortable when facing He Gao. He felt that He Gao didn't just want to take Xiang as a true heavenly immortal emperor. He Gao gave Lu Ming an extremely dangerous feeling. So he promised He Gao that he would persuade Xiang. It was purely perfunctory. I must take Xiang and the others away as soon as possible. As long as they enter the Origin Mountain's sacred courtyard, they will be safe. But how? In Lu Ming's mind, he was thinking of countermeasures rapidly. After a while, he saw Xiang's courtyard. Outside the courtyard, the Ice Dragon Valley Master was pacing back and forth anxiously. Seeing Lu Ming return, the Ice Dragon Valley Master was overjoyed. The person who led the way also bid farewell and left. Lu Ming, what did He Gao say to you? Did he ask you to persuade Xiang to acknowledge him as her master? The Ice Dragon Valley Master hurriedly came over and asked. Yes, the Valley Master also knows. Lu Ming nodded and replied. Lu Ming, you must not agree to He Gao's request. Otherwise, Xiang will be in danger. The Ice Dragon Valley Master said anxiously. Valley Master, what's going on? Lu Ming's face changed and asked. He Gao is probably using Xiang. Immediately, the Ice Dragon Valley Master told him that He Gao might be using Xiang to cultivate his cultivation technique to fight against the heavenly tribulation. What? Damn it! After hearing that, Lu Ming was shocked. He roared furiously and his eyes emitted a cold murderous intent. He Gao wanted to take Xiang as his disciple. It was not true at all. He just wanted to use Xiang. No wonder Lu Ming had a bad feeling before. Oh no, He Gao knows my true identity. He will definitely not let me go. We have to leave immediately. Suddenly, Lu Ming's face changed. At this moment, all kinds of possibilities flashed through Lu Ming's mind. If he were He Gao, he would directly kill Lu Ming. In this way, Xiang would lose her master and it would be much easier for her to join someone else. He could even go to the Han family to seek benefits, killing two birds with one stone. Thinking of this, Lu Ming was extremely anxious. Valley Master, let's go. We have to leave the Han family immediately. After saying that, Lu Ming rushed into the courtyard. Seeing Xiang and Tian Shui, Lu Ming immediately summoned the mountain and river diagram and said, Valley Master, Xiang, senior brother, quickly enter the mountain and river diagram. I will take you away from the He family. Master, this is, Xiang was puzzled. There is no time to explain. Hurry! Lu Ming shouted. A white light flashed and Xiang and Tian Shui were kept into the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming, do you have any way to get out? Ice Dragon Valley Master asked anxiously. Valley Master, don't worry. I have my own way but I need to borrow your clothes. Lu Ming said. Ice Dragon Valley Master's eyes flashed and a set of clothes appeared in his hand and he handed it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming then kept Ice Dragon Valley Master into the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming's body began to change and he turned into Ice Dragon Valley Master's appearance. Even his aura was exactly the same. Lu Ming quickly changed into Ice Dragon Valley Master's clothes and walked outside. Ice Dragon Valley Master and the others could move around within a certain range. When Ice Dragon Valley Master walked out, there were eyes looking at him secretly. However, they swept past and ignored him. After Lu Ming walked around, he came to a remote place. When he came here, there was no one watching him. At this time, he happened to meet a middle-aged man walking towards him. At one glance, Lu Ming could tell that this burly middle-aged man had the cultivation of a great sage. Lu Ming walked towards this person quietly. When he approached, Lu Ming struck at lightning speed and knocked this person out. Then, he took off this person's clothes and changed into it. Then, Lu Ming's figure began to change and turned into this person's appearance. The middle-aged man was thrown into the mountain and river diagram by Lu Ming. Lu Ming swaggered out of the He family's gate. Along the way, no one stopped him. Soon, Lu Ming got out of the He family smoothly. As soon as he got out of the He family, Lu Ming's face changed slightly. He saw a few figures rushing into the He family at a terrifying speed in the distance. One of them was He Gao. There are really experts from the Hung family. Chapter 1927. Let's go. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He unleashed his speed to the extreme and rushed toward the sacred courtyard of Yuan Shan. He wanted to return to Yuan Shan Holy Courtyard as soon as possible. On the other side, He Gao and the two true emperors from the Hung clan arrived outside of Xiang Xiang's residence. Lu Ming, I'll leave him to you. I can't go in and you can't touch the girl inside. As for the others, you can do whatever you want. He Gao warned. The two true emperors nodded and stepped forward. They arrived above Xiang Xiang's residence and scanned the area with their spiritual intents. With a single glance, the faces of the two men darkened, and a hint of anger flashed in their eyes. The two of them moved and arrived in front of He Gao. Their eyes were burning with rage. He Gao, you dare to play with us? The white-haired true emperor said coldly. Play with you? Why do you say that? He Gao's expression darkened. He didn't know why, but he had a bad feeling about this. There's no one in the residence, you're not playing with us. The other true emperor from the Hung clan had an even uglier expression. How can there be no one here? He Gao's expression changed. Having said that, he rushed into the residence like a gust of wind and scanned the area with his spiritual intents. There was no one. There was not a single person in the courtyard. Damn it, where are they? He Gao roared furiously. His spiritual senses were like a violent storm, spreading toward the other mansions of the He family. However, he did not discover Lu Ming and the rest at all. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures flew out and landed in front of He Gao. They were the experts sent by He Gao to spy on Xiang Xiang's group. Where are they? Where are they? He Gao roared furiously. His face was twisted together because of anger. Aren't they in the residence? We didn't see them come out, could it be a grotto treasure? The two realized something and their expression changed. Idiots! He Gao angrily rebuked. A cold murderous intent flashed across his eyes as he muttered, the art of disguise. Lu Ming is proficient in the art of disguise. I didn't expect this brat to be so meticulous. I was careless. Although he knew that Lu Ming was proficient in the art of disguise, he originally thought that Lu Ming would at least stay in the He clan for a day. He had already rushed over to find the Hung clan. As long as Lu Ming stayed for a while, it would be difficult for him to escape. Unexpectedly, the moment he left, Lu Ming left the He residence with Xiang Xiang and the others. He knew that he had miscalculated. He Gao, what tricks are you playing? If you want to trick us, hand over the tribulation-transcending divine robe. Two Hung true emperors appeared on either side of He Gao with a dark expression. Their powerful auras surrounded He Gao. Gentlemen, this is the He clan. He Gao said coldly. The two true emperors from the Hung clan were shocked. Yes, this was the He clan. If they did anything to He Gao, they would be surrounded by the experts from the clan. He Gao, our tribulation-transcending divine robe isn't that easy to trick. If you don't return it, wait for our revenge unless you hide in the He clan forever. The white-haired true emperor from the Hung clan said coldly. His aura grew stronger. What's the rush? I can find that little bastard Lu Ming no matter where he hides. There was a cold smile on He Gao's face. Then, he began to form a magical seal with both hands. This was the seal to control the soul-devouring worm. No matter how far away he was, as long as he formed the seal, he would be able to control the soul-devouring worm and sense Lu Ming's location through the soul-devouring worm. Lu Ming exerted all his strength and flew toward the sacred courtyard of Yuan Mountain like a bolt of lightning. The He clan was not very far from the Yuanshan Holy Courtyard. He was quickly approaching the Yuanshan Holy Courtyard. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed. He felt that something was happening in the mountain and river diagram. With a thought, Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram. A part of his mind controlled the mountain and river diagram to continue flying toward the sacred academy of Yuan Mountain. Roar! As soon as Lu Ming entered, he saw Ice Dragon Valley Master holding his head with both hands and roaring like a beast. His face was full of pain. Ah! Next, Ice Dragon Valley Master's head slammed into a mountain, causing the mountain to shake and debris to fly everywhere. Grandpa Valley Master, what's wrong? Xiang Bela stood at the side. She was at a loss and her eyes were filled with tears. Poisoned, Valley Master must have been poisoned. Damn it, that He Gao is vicious. Tian Chui roared. Just now, Ice Dragon Valley Master had explained the situation to them. They now understood the cause and effect. He Gao wanted Xiang to cultivate the Four Seasons technique so that he could use Xiang's primordial yin to improve himself. How vicious! After the two of them heard this, they felt a lingering fear. Valley Master, what poison have you been poisoned with? Lu Ming came to Ice Dragon Valley Master's side and asked. It's the soul-devouring worm. He Gao has returned to the He family and knows that we have escaped. Oh no, he can use the soul-devouring worm to determine our location. Lu Ming, kill me, kill me. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. Damn it! How could this be? Tian Chui, Xiang, and Lu Ming looked terrible. Kill me quickly, otherwise, He Gao will catch up with us soon. The Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. His originally gentle face was now twisted together due to the pain. His head once again smashed heavily onto the mountain peak, creating a huge crater. Ice Dragon Valley Master's face was covered in blood and his white hair was disheveled. Even with his status as a Valley Master and his cultivation of the Absolute Saint Realm, he could not bear it. Lu Ming and the other two's hearts trembled. He Gao, I will kill you. Lu Ming roared in his heart. His eyes were filled with endless murderous intent. Do it quickly. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. Valley Master. Grandpa Valley Master, we can't do it. Xiang shook her head. How could they kill Ice Dragon Valley Master? Valley Master, we will reach Yuan Shan Saint Courtyard soon. After we reach Yuan Shan Saint Courtyard, I will find a way to ask the Great Emperor to help you get the soul-devouring worm. Lu Ming shouted. It's too late, He Gao will catch up soon. By then, none of us will be able to escape. I am old and my cultivation has reached its limit. There is no hope for me to break through in the future. But you can't die, you have a bright future. Dragon God Valley depends on you in the future. Do it quickly. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. No. Lu Ming and the other two shook their heads resolutely. If you don't do it, I will do it myself. The Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley roared. The saint power in his body surged wildly and rushed toward his mind. Not good. Lu Ming, Tian Chui and Xiang's faces changed. But it was too late to stop it. Boom! There was an explosion in Ice Dragon Valley Master's mind. Then, Ice Dragon Valley Master stood there in a daze. Valley Master. Grandpa Valley Master. Lu Ming and the other two were shocked and rushed to Ice Dragon Valley Master's side. But at this time, Ice Dragon Valley Master was no longer breathing.